All right. Let's get it. What's great, everybody? Today's a beautiful day. It's a day we've never seen before and a day we'll never, ever see again. My name is Eddie One Take Everywhere Else, but on this channel, I'm rtxeddy, a.k.a. Window. If you know, you know. But if you are into cybersecurity, then you know that, or anything tech, then you know that on this channel, what we're doing is slowly navigating our way into the cybersecurity industry, going for a penetration testing job, red team specifically. So doing everything that we can to study from the ground up from somebody who knows a little bit about tech, but not in a specific field. So we're going to get real locked in on cybersecurity. And if you watch videos previously on the channel, then you see me build a computer. So we got the hardware side of tech down. We understand the hardware side, what it takes to make a computer run with the hardware components. Now we're understanding the software and networking side. So we're going to learn this together. You're invited to learn with me. Make sure you hit subscribe if you want to stay in tune with more cybersecurity or tech content. Make sure you leave a comment if you're learning about networking or have any good resources to networking. A few people I got to shout out real quick in this video is everybody within my Discord community, the rtxeddy Discord community. Shout out to my boy Civil. Shout out to my boy Shells. Shout out to everybody that's been helping me with resources and keeping me in tune and tapped in. So let's go over networking. And why are we going over networking? Because I feel like if you want to get into any sector of cybersecurity or learn anything about computer science, technology, you have to understand networking. You have to understand how basically networking is computers talk to each other. So what we're going to do is go through HackTheBox introduction to networking. And if you want to know where I'm studying from, which is HackTheBox, I'll leave a link in the description. But networking is so essential to all of security information, cybersecurity, tech, because this is how computers or devices communicate with each other. So it doesn't matter what sector in cybersecurity you want to get into, you have to understand how computers communicate with each other and talk to each other. So I've already gone through a little bit of this earlier, and I decided, because I wasn't at home, I just decided to wait for a second and get home so we can start doing this together. Now, let's just go through it. I got my notebook. I recommend you grabbing a notebook. I'm going to do the best that I can. You can see some of my notes already. Some of my notes I've been taking already. All right. Got my notebook. And I'm going to be taking notes as I do this, just to help me retain the information better. This pen is almost out of ink. And I'm not sure how clear you can see my screen, but we're going to work through this. So I'm going to kind of speed read through this. I recommend that any definitions or anything you don't understand while I'm reading this, you write it down, make notes of it, and that's how we're going to learn. Okay, a network enables two computers to communicate with each other. There is a wide array of topologies, mesh/tree/star, mediums, Ethernet, fiber, coax, wireless, and protocols, TCP, UDP, IPX, that can be used to facilitate the network. It is important as security professionals to understand networking because when the network fails, the error may be silent, causing us to miss something. So just reviewing, there's a wide array of topologies. These are the different type of topologies. Mesh, tree, star. You have a wide array of mediums, which is Ethernet, fiber, coax, wireless. I think I'm saying that right, coax. And protocols, TCP, UDP, IPX. And these are all for facilitating the network. So it's important to understand how the network works, so that if something fails, you can know, because sometimes it may be silent. So you don't want to miss anything. All right. Setting up a large flat network is extremely difficult and can be a reliable network, at least operationally. Okay, so what is a flat network? Let's do some research. What is a flat network in networking? A flat network is a type of network architecture where all devices are a part of the same broadcast domain, allowing direct connection without the need for routing through intermediary devices like routers or switches. Okay, cool. Makes clear sense. Okay, setting up a large flat network is extremely difficult and can be a reliable network, at least operationally. However, a flat network is like building a house on a land plot and considering it secure because it has a lock on the door. Okay, that makes sense. That's what a flat network is. Now, a flat network is obviously what they're trying to say here is a flat network is not as secure. It's operational, but it's not secure. So by creating lots of smaller networks and having them communicate, we can add defense layers. Pivoting around a network is not difficult, but doing it quickly and silently is tough, and we will slow attackers down. Back to the house scenario. Let's walk through the following examples. Okay, so here's the house example. A flat network is like building a house on a plot of land and considering it secure because it has a lock on the door. So as we continue reading, we know that's not secure. And we want to set up smaller networks and have them communicate with each other. So pivoting around a network, which isn't difficult, but it won't be able to be done quickly or silently. So that will slow attackers down. But the house scenario is building smaller networks and putting control access lists around them is like putting a fence around the property's borders that create specific entry and exit points. Okay, so building a smaller network is like setting up a fence. Yes, attackers can jump over the fence, but this looks suspicious and is not common, allowing it to be quickly detected as malicious activity. So just think about a real house. If you have a fence around your real house and you see, let's just say you have a code on your fence and you see someone hopping the fence, that just looks suspicious. So that's going to be easily detected as malicious activity. Okay, that makes sense. Now, why is the printer talking to the server over HTTP? Great question. Example number 2, taking the time to map out and document each network's purpose is like placing lights around the property, making sure all activity can be seen. Why is the printer talking to the internet at all? So having lights around the property will be able to help you detect anything that is malicious or any suspicious activity that is going on. So that is a security control that will help you understand what's in the network and what its purpose is. Like what devices are in the network and what purposes those devices serve. All right, cool. Now let's get back focused. All right, example number 3. Having bushes around windows is a deterrent to people attempting to open the window. Just like intrusion detection systems okay, so this is an intrusion detection system. Let's look at that. Intrusion detection system. Suricata is a high-performance open-source network analysis and threat detection software used by most private and public organizations and embedded by major vendors to protect their assets. It's far more than IDS/IPS. IDS alerts, protocol transactions, network flows, PCAP recordings, extracted files. Okay. SureCon. Montreal 2025. Should we go to this? Observe, protect, adapt. Okay, now that's one of them. And the other one was Snort. I remember Snort from before, one of my other IDS, intrusion detection system. Let's see if it picks it up as that. Snort, it does. Ha. Snort. What is Snort? Snort is the foremost open source intrusion prevention system, IPS, in the world. Snort IPS uses a series of rules that help define malicious activity malicious network activity and uses those rules to find packets that match against them and generate alerts for users. Okay, great. That makes sense. All right. IPS. Let me write that down. Intrusion Prevention System. Name one. Suricata, and the other one was Snort. All right, cool. So, why did a port scan originate from the printer network? These examples may sound silly, and it is common sense to block a printer from doing all of the above. However, if the printer is on a flat/24 network and gets a DHCP address, it can be challenging to place these type of restrictions on them. Most networks use a /24 subnet. Now, earlier I was reading this and I see subnet a lot, and I'm like, yo, what exactly is a subnet? And we're going to learn what a subnet is in this. But a subnet is basically subdividing a network or allowing certain devices on the network to communicate with certain devices, even though they're on the same network. So much so that penetration testers will set the subnet mask 255.255.255.0 without checking. The /25 network allows computers to talk to each other as long as the first 3 octets of an IP address are the same. Example, 192.168.1.xxx. So the /24 network allows computers to talk to each other as long as the first 3 octets of an IP address are the same. So if the first 3 octets are 192 dot, then that allows computers on this subnetwork to communicate with each other. Setting the subnetwork to /25 divides this range in half, and the computer will be able to talk to only computers on its half. Got you. Subnetwork mask to 25. Okay. We see penetration test reports where the assessor claimed a domain controller was offline when it was just on a different network. In reality, the network structure was something like this. Okay, this is the network structure. Server gateway 10.20.0.125. Domain controller 10.20.0.10/25. And remember, this is a subnet. Subnet mask to /25 divides this range in half. So we have the client gateway on 10.20.0.129/25. And then we have the client network, the client workstation at 10.20.0.200/25. And then the pen tester IP is 10.20.0.252/24. Set gateway to 10.20.0.1. Okay, interesting. So this again was the network structure that we just went over. And subnet 24 and subnet mask 25. The pen tester communicated with the client workstations and thought they did an excellent job because they managed to steal a workstation password via impact. However, due to failure to understand the network, they managed to get off the client network and reach more high-value targets such as database servers. They never managed to get off the client network and reach more high-value targets such as database servers. Hopefully, if this sounds confusing to you, you can come back to this statement at the end of the module and understand it. It makes sense. It sounds a little bit confusing, but it makes sense. Cool. Basic information. Let's look at the following high-level diagram of how a work from home setup may work. So we have the internet service provider, ISP, right here. And then we have the router, right? For our home network, which connects our smartphone, our notebook, and our PC. Now, that internet service provider will also connect us to the internet, and that will connect us to a DNS or a domain name server. Now, that internet service provider, which is the top of the structure, is also going to connect us to another router that is our company network, not our home network. This is going to involve a switch, a web server, an IP phone, a printer, a client host, and another client host. So this would be our basic information or a high level diagram of a work from home setup. This is what it would look like. So the entire internet is based on many subdivided networks. As shown in the example and marked as home network, which is here, and company network, which is here, we can imagine networking as the delivery of mail or packages sent by one computer and received by another. Okay, that makes sense. So the entire internet is literally networks. And these different networks have addresses where you can deliver and receive packets of information or mail, right? Or packets of information. Okay. How do we feel? We feel good? Comment how we feel, man. I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel blessed. I feel focused. Let's get it. Okay, suppose we imagine as a scenario that we want to visit a computer's website from our home network. Okay. Let's say I want to go to a company's website. Let's just take Google, for example. I want to go to Google from my home network. Let's just say these are the devices in my home network and my eye. Cool. These are the devices in my home network, and I basically have a smartphone, a notebook, and a PC, a smartphone, laptop, and a PC. So let's say I want to go to Google from my smartphone. And we know that the entire internet is based on many subdivided networks. This scenario, I want to go to Google. So in this case, we exchange data with the company's website located in their company network. So I want to go to Google from my home network, my smartphone, which is connected to my home network, and I want to connect to Google. I'm going to exchange information from their web server to my home network. As with sending mail or packets, we know the address where the package should go. For example, if I'm ordering something from Amazon, I have to provide an address for them. If I'm returning something to Amazon, let's just say they have the wrong package, I have to send something, or I need an address to send it back to them. The website address or uniform resource locator. Comment if you never knew what URL stand for. Uniform resource locator. URL. How many times do we use these acronyms and never really stop to understand what they mean? Like, I bet you if you walk up to a bunch of people and ask them what GPS stands for, they won't know what GPS stands for. Global Positioning System. Anyways, we know the address. Okay, the web address. Okay, the web address. So the address for the company website that I want to go to would be considered a URL. Uniform Resource Locator. Okay. Which we enter into our browser is also known as, wow, I never knew that, Fully Qualified Domain Name, FQDN. Fully Qualified Domain Name. All right, cool. Let's get it. FQDN. Fully Qualified Domain Name. Okay, we got URL, Uniform Resource Locator, FQDN, fully qualified domain name. Now, what's the difference between URLs and FQDNs? An FQDN, fully qualified domain name, www.hackthebox.eu, only specifies the address of the building. Okay, it only specifies the address of the building. Let's just say I have a big unit and you're in, or big building and you're in a specific unit. It won't tell me that. The FQDN won't tell me that. It'll just tell me the address of the building. And the URL, https:/www.hackthebox.eu/example floor equals 2 and office equals dev and employee equals 17. Also specifies the floor, office, mailbox, and the corresponding employee. Oh. So it specifies the building here. So it specifies the floor, it specifies the office, and it specifies the mailbox, dev, and employee for whom the package is intended. I got you. It's making sense. FQDN is just the building, hackthebox.com. Like if I just go to hackthebox.eu, that's just the building. That's a FQDN. If I go to a specific link on HackTheBox, then, I'm looking at the link, the URL right now, academy.hackthebox.com/module/34. So the floor, the office number, the mailbox, and the employee. That's so crazy how they break it down. I'm loving it. I'm learning. Okay, also specifies, got you. I think I should write that down. Uniform is the floor, office, mailbox, employee, specifies. Specifies that. This specifies just the building. Address. Got you. So we understand the difference between FQDN, fully qualified domain names, and URLs, uniform resource locators. Great. We will discuss the exact representations and definitions more clearly and precisely in other sections. I love it. The fact is that we know the address. At the bottom line, at the end of the day, we know the address, but not the exact geographical location of the address. Okay. In this situation, the post office can determine the exact location, which then forwards the packets to the desired location. Therefore, our post office forwards our packets to the main post office, representing our internet service provider, our ISP. Hey, what ISP do you use? Internet service provider. Okay, the fact is that we know the address, but not the exact geographical location of the address. In this situation, the post office can determine the exact location, which then, okay. So wait 1 second. The fact is that we know the address, but not the exact geographical location of the address. In this situation, the post office can determine the exact location, which then forwards the packets to the desired location. Therefore, our post office forwards our packets to the main office. So you can look at the internet service provider as the main office. Okay. Our post office is our router, which we utilize to connect to the internet and networking. Post office is our router. Post office is our router, which we utilize to connect to the internet. Okay. So in this example, right? Like if I'm just breaking it down for myself for my own understanding, if I want to take a piece of mail and I have an address in California, I will need to go to the post office for them to deliver that package or delivery or mail. So the post office is my router, and that is what allows me to connect to the internet or be able to mail things off and receive things in the mail. So the post office, a router is like a post office. Okay. As soon as we send our packets through our post office, soon as we send this packet through the post office, the packet is forwarded to the main post office. So I send a packet to my router, and that router sends it to the internet service provider, which is the main post office. This main post office looks in the address register / phone book or domain name service. Domain name. Can't talk today? What's going on, buddy? Get it together. Okay. When I send a packet to my router, that packet is forwarded to my ISP or my main post office. This main post office is going to look at the address register / phone book or the domain name service, where the address is located, and returns the corresponding geographical coordinates, the IP address. So my router connects to the internet service provider, and that internet service provider looks for the address or the exact location, and it looks through the domain name service. And then there is a corresponding address for returning information, which is my IP address. Okay. So my IP address is basically my address to receive. Like if I wanted to receive packets of data or information, or I got you. Now that we know the address's exact location, our packet is sent directly there by a direct flight via our main post office. Okay, let's get right into it. How much? Okay, cool. Should I do? I think I'm gonna do this in sections just to save myself time and energy and focus. But I'm gonna do it in sections. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, cool. This is going up today, people. Let's get it. All right. I got that. My router connects to the internet service provider, and my router is my post office. My post office sends it to a main post office, which is my internet service provider. That internet service provider then looks through the, let's say, name directory or whatever, which is the domain name service. And once it looks through the domain name service, it then returns me with, gives me a return IP address, from what I understand. Okay. Those packets are sent. So now my ISP knows exactly where to send those packets. My IP address. After the web server has received our packets with the request of what their website looks like, just slow down. Sometimes I'm like rushing. Just slow down, bro. That's why your comprehension is a little okay. After the web server has received our packet. Web server. The request of what their website looks like. The web server sends us back the packet with the data for the presentation of the website via post office router of the company network to the specific return address, IP address. That's our return address or our device address. When the web server has received our packet with the request, okay, of what their website looks like. So we are requesting to see what their website looks like. The web server sends us back the packets with data for the presentation of the website. With the data for the presentation of the website via post office router of the company network. Okay. Extra points. In that diagram, I would hope the company network shown consists of 5 separate networks. The web server should be in a DMZ, demilitarized zone. I remember learning about this. Okay, your web server should be in a DMZ because clients on the internet can initiate communications with the website, making it more likely to become compromised. Placing it in a separate network allows the administrators to put network protections between the web server and other devices. So, your web server should be in a DMZ. Clients on the internet can initiate communication with the website, so it's more likely to be compromised. DMZ, demilitarized zone. Workstations should be in their own network, and in a perfect world, each workstation should have a host-based firewall rule preventing it from talking to other workstations. If a workstation is on the same network as a server, networking attacks like spoofing or man in the middle become much more of an issue. Okay. The switch and router should be on an administration network. This prevents workstations from snooping in on any communication between these devices. I have often performed a penetration test and saw OSPF, open shortest path first, advertisements. Since the router did not have a trusted network, anyone on the internal network could have sent a malicious advertisement and performed a man-in-the-middle attack against any network. IP phones should be on their own network. Security-wise, this is to prevent computers from being able to eavesdrop on communication. In addition to security, phones and network. Sometimes I'm like, what are you reading, bro? What are you reading, my brother? Slow down. Quick lesson. One side of your mind is reading the information, and then there's another side comprehending. So finding balance. I'm seeing myself finding balance because, okay, shout out to my dyslexia. Let's get it. Where was I? In addition to security, phones are unique in the sense that latency/lag is significant. Placing them on their own network can allow network administrators to prioritize their traffic to prevent high latency more easily. Printers should be on their own network. This may sound weird, but it is next to impossible to secure a printer due to how Windows works. If a printer tells a computer authentication is required during a print job, that computer will attempt an NTLM v2 authentication. Never seen this type of authentication before. And I love acronyms and I love learning. So we are going to learn what this authentication is. NTLM v2 is an enhanced version of the NTLM authentication protocol used in Windows-based networks for users in computer authentication. It provides better security against relay and brute force attacks compared to its predecessor NTLM v1, version 1, version 2. But it does not completely block these threats. To configure better security on authentication protocols in an Active Directory domain, you can set up the group policy to send NTLM v2 response only, refuse LM, and NTLM. This setting ensures that clients use NTLM v2 authentication and use NTLM2 session security if the server supports it. What does it stand for, though? NTLM. Stands for NT LAN Manager. Local area network is what LAN is. So NT, Local Area Network Manager, and is a suite of Microsoft security protocols intended to provide authentication, integrity, and confidentiality. What do we see there? The CIA triad. If you know anything about cybersecurity, that's what you should start with. This is the pillars of cybersecurity and security in general, but confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. To users in a Windows network, it is a challenge response authentication protocol that uses 3 messages to authenticate a client in a connection-oriented environment. Okay, so now we have an idea of what NTLM v2 authentication is. Yes. Quick stretching. Ooh, how do we feel? How do we feel? Feel great. Got a quick workout in. Gonna do another light workout. Yeah, calisthenics is everything. But let's keep going. Additionally, these devices are great for persistence and in general have tons of sensitive information sent to them. Okay, fun story. During COVID, I was tasked to perform a physical penetration test across state lines, and my state was under a stay-at-home order. The company I was testing had minimal staff in the office. I decided to purchase an expensive printer and exploited it to put a reverse shell in it. So when it connected to the network, it would send me a shell remote access. Then I shipped the printer to the company and sent a phishing email thanking the company for coming in and explaining that the printer should allow them to print or scan things more quickly if they want to bring some stuff home to WFH, work from home, for a few days. The printer was hooked up almost instantly, and their domain administrator's computer was kind enough to send the printer his credentials. If the client had designed a secure network, this attack probably would have not been possible for many reasons. Printer should not have been able to talk to the internet. Workstation should not have been able to communicate to the printer over port 445. Printers should not be able to initiate connections to workstations in some cases. Printer/scanner combinations should be able to communicate to a mail server to email scan documents. Okay. So that was intro to networking. Basically, the whole network overview. We got that accomplished. Shout out to us. And what did we go over? Networking overview, topologies, mediums, and protocols. We gave a few examples of how these are like access controls, and it's like protecting your house. So this is basically like a fence. This is basically like putting lights around your property, and this is like putting bushes by the windows. So the fence is for seeing or detecting malicious activity, like someone hopping over the fence. Number two, the lights is being able to see what's going on around the property. And then three, the bushes is having people is a deterrent from having people trying to open the window. So we went over story time, a penetration tester's oversight, basically subnets, subnet masks. We went over the network structure and how understanding the network is very crucial. We went over basic information like a high-level diagram of a work from home setup, internet service provider, home network versus computer network. Excuse me. How the internet is divided into subnetworks, and we can imagine networking like sending packages from one computer to another. And in order to be able to do that, we understood uniform resource locator and fully qualified domain name and the differences between those two, which fully domain name is like the address of the building, and the uniform resource locator is like the specific floor, the specific office, the specific mailbox, and the specific employee. And then we understood what an internet service provider is, how they're like the main post office. We understood what a router is, which is like our local post office. Yeah, I'm down here.
Oh, okay. No, I just came. That's why.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, I just got back.
Got you.
Me and myself.
Oh, you took her to work?
Oh, you were not here when I left.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't here when. No, I left before you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left before you. All right. So then we learned about how we send packets to our post office. Like if I wanted to mail something, I would send it to my post office, and my post office would act as my router. So if I wanted to access a company's website, I would send packets to my router, and my router would forward it to the main post office, which is the ISP or internet service provider. And then this main post office would look through the domain name service or the address registry, like where's the address. And then the address would be located and give me a returning geographical location or my IP address, which is my return address. And now I have the exact location. So packet sent to the router forwards it to the ISP or internet service provider. Internet service provider looks through the domain name service, and the domain name service provides us back with an IP address. So package presentation via. Okay, so the web server receives our packets because we requested to see what the website looked like. The web server sends us back the packets with the data for the presentation of the website. So it sends the web server sends back the packets to my router, and so it sends it back to my router, which is it knows to send back through my specific IP. And then extra points, set up a DMZ zone. Workstations should be on their own router. And in the perfect world, they should have host-based firewalls to prevent spoofing and middlemaning. Switches and routers should be on an administrative network so that since the router did not have a trusted network, anyone on the internal network could. Okay, so making sure your switches and routers are on their own administrative network. IPs, because they have a unique sense of latency and lag. they should be on their own network to prioritize traffic, and printers should be on their own network as well. And then we also read about this penetration test, and basically how he was able to exploit their network from using simply a printer. So this was fire. I learned a lot. I hope if you're watching this, you learned a lot. Oh, I love it. I got another interview. Okay, so right now, as I'm breaking into cybersecurity, I'm going for another like tech level 2 technician help desk job, and you can see obviously this everything I'm learning is going to be beneficial to that. I'm just a student of the game. I always love learning. I feel like you can never stop learning. I feel like you can learn things, soak it up like a sponge, and then you got to squeeze your sponge out, give yourself time to process and understand it so you can be able to soak more things up. But I love learning. I just got another interview. Yeah. To get sweet. All right. Now, yeah, I'm excited. Networking overview completed. I have a good understanding about this. I'm excited to learn more. Network type. So we're going to learn more about the network structure. I'm excited to learn more about the network structure and just continue to dive into this. So this was video 1 in networking. I'm going to most likely make this a playlist. So let's get it. It's your boy Eddie One Take everywhere else in the world, but on this channel, you know what's going on. It's rtxeddy, man. Happy hacking. And that's all, folks. Let's get it.